And hello, welcome to this sad special edition of Phillies Talk. It's Phillies Talk Live here, and it's currently 4:19 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, 26th of January, 2020. And it was a nice, quiet Sunday afternoon in the Philadelphia area. Uh, Somewhat warm, made it up to about 48 degrees today outside. And in the afternoon, we all got a terrible news out of California that a helicopter had crashed, and there was apparently five occupants on the helicopter. And we learned that Kobe Bryant was among the dead of the victims of this helicopter crash. And also, we have learned that apparently his daughter was on board with him too. Um, on this flight, apparently, as well. Details of why they were on the helicopter are just starting to make it to the media. There is a news conference scheduled for 5 p.m. Eastern Time locally here in the Philadelphia area, and that will shed some more light on what had happened there. Kobe Bryant apparently on his way to a basketball game with his daughter and another player uh, and some family of that player, apparently. We'll hear more about that on the press conference. But just a horrible, horrible set of news here coming out of California. And of course, Kobe Bryant, uh, locally in the Philadelphia area, is well known for his Lower Merion days of high school basketball here in the area. And of course, he had a great high school career and 18-time NBA All Star over his 20-year career. Of course, he retired not too long ago, but he was 41 at the time of the crash today. Kobe Bryant, about 30 miles northwest of downtown Los Angeles, is where this tragedy happened. A Sikorsky S-76 helicopter. The cause of the crash, as of right now, is not known. Um, there will be that press conference, but I'm sure they're going to comment on the events of what had happened, but not sure if they'll be able to give us a cause. Bryant lived south of Los Angeles in Orange County for most of his life. And he often used helicopters, it says here in a story on KTLA.com, station out of California, often used helicopters to save time and avoid Southern California's notorious traffic. Of course, anybody that's been out in LA knows how bad the traffic is in California. Of course, roads are usually backed up, and there's a lot of people out in California. But apparently, at time of the copter crash, there was fog that was clearing, uh, sort of bad weather to think about a flight possibly, but not sure if that contributed to this at this time. Kobe Bryant retired in 2016 after scoring 60 points in his final NBA game. Locally in the area, tweets from Shane Victorino to media personalities and everybody in between have been flooding in, as you could expect. All kinds of accolades coming in from the world of sports. Tom Brady tweeting out his sad comments about the matter. And the Twitter feed is just on fire. A lot of executives posting their thoughts about what had happened. Mark Cuban, Mr. Iger, the CEO of Disney, and just everybody who is somebody has released a tweet or some sort of public commentary on how sad they are about Kobe Bryant and what happened to him this afternoon. Let me tune in a little bit here on this special edition of Phillies Talk Live, which, by the way, I'm streaming it over YouTube. There is a chat area if you want to type anything in here. And I'm going to be using this more along the season. When the Phillies season starts up, I'll be going live over YouTube to give people a chance to comment, maybe participate in the show a little bit more. So I certainly invite you to jump on over to the YouTube channel for Fighting Phillies podcast, the Phillies Talk podcast. So I'll have links in the blog to get you over to there. But getting back to our main story, of course, let me tune into a little bit of the live stream that's going on over at KTLA right from Los Angeles. We'll tune in right now.
He did so, he said, to keep his body fresh. Glenn Walker was also talking about his commitment to winning and his commitment to excellence. Practice would end, Kobe would stay, and he would practice his shots. I remember a story when he was on the Olympic team, and there were so many good players on that team that represented the United States that the coach of the team, I believe he was the head coach of Duke University, and he would give the ball to players and he would say, "Here, take a three." And they said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, there's so many good players, you're going to have open opportunities to take threes." So Kobe took a three and he missed it. Then he spent the rest of the afternoon hitting that shot. He practiced all day until he nailed everyone. He wanted to make sure that he was a perfectionist. And he was a perfectionist.
Right.
It spoke to what he did.
It says so much.
5 NBA championships, and he did it twice. There was the first three-peat, and then he did it the second time, as Glenn was talking about. When he won the fourth championship, that really solidified, I think, his greatness and how he's going to be remembered in terms of basketball.
We've been talking about the Grammys happening at Staples Center tonight. We're going to go live now to Doug Kolk. He is on the red carpet. As we've been saying, Doug, for the last hour or so, everything has changed now there.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I'll give you my timeline of events. First off, I can say the shock quickly spread throughout Staples Center, LA Live. I pulled in here around 11:15 this morning, and as I was entering the garage, I heard a security attendant say, "Hey, did you hear about Kobe Bryant?" And I thought nothing of it. And then as I was pulling down in the garage, I got a text message from my brother that said Kobe had died. And I immediately dismissed that as fake news. But then as soon as I got out of my car, more security guards were talking about it. And it was around that time that everything spread. I came up, I entered LA Live, and everybody was talking about it. Even the security guards who have a job to do, checking everybody in. But I mean, it was certainly the topic of conversation entering here. And it wasn't long after that word had spread throughout the entire carpet here. This is a man who, yes, of course, he meant a tremendous amount to sports, but his career really transcended beyond sports into entertainment. Let's not forget, Kobe Bryant in his early 2000s was a rapper. He had a rap group that never released an album, but he released an EP. He had a record label that he started. Lil Wayne has a song named Kobe Bryant. He took Brandy to his senior prom. Brandy, by the way, also Grammy nominated and should be on the carpet today. Not to mention, Kobe Bryant also has an Oscar. He won last year for Deer Basketball. It was a documentary short, but at the time he even stated that it was better than winning an NBA championship. And he has plenty of those.
And there's live coverage from KTLA. The Grammys apparently going on tonight there in Los Angeles at the Staples Center Arena. And commentary from that venue there live on streaming live on KTLA in Los Angeles. Getting back to Kobe Bryant's Philly roots, of course, his jersey was retired He went through Lower Marion High School from 1992 to 1996. His number 33 was retired there. Oddly enough, somebody broke into the display a year or so ago and stole that jersey, the number 33 jersey, in Pennsylvania. It was recovered just last year. Somehow that jersey was returned and recovered 2 years later, so back in March of 2019. Odd story there with memorabilia, of course. And Kobe Bryant was a legend in the Philadelphia area. He's somebody that did move to California, and that was his new home, but his roots were here in Philadelphia. Born in the city of Philadelphia in 1978. Just a very, very, very sad story here on January 26th, 2020. Several hours ago, 1 p.m. Philadelphia local time was about the time that the Sikorsky helicopter crashed. That was reported within minutes after it happened. And then it took a while, but then word started to filter out that indeed one of the victims of this crash, Kobe Bryant. And he has a quote from 2016 that he said, quote, Lower Marion made me who I am. And that was from Kobe Bryant's growing up years in Philadelphia in the Lower Marion district there. And what a sad, sad story. 41 years old, and apparently his daughter also with him on this fatal flight. Just a tragic story. Just last spring, Bryant was back in West Philadelphia sharing his message to people and school kids. And just on Saturday night, last night, LeBron James surpassed Bryant on the all-time scoring list, as we were talking about during this game against Philadelphia 76ers. And of course, Bryant tweeting out that nice tweet to LeBron James, congratulating him on that feat. Just a sad story and heartbreaking as well. Just about a half hour away from an official press conference on the events that happened. Let's go back to the KTLA coverage for just a minute here live.
He doubted he could win a championship, and he proved them wrong. They doubted he could make movies, and he won an Oscar. Like all great artists, Kobe Bryant proved the doubters wrong. Rest in peace. That's coming from the Academy. And do you remember the picture of him when he was kissing the Oscar?
I do.
He was so happy, saying that this was the biggest honor he could get. After winning 5 championships and all the other accolades that he won on the court, an Oscar was pretty amazing for him, and you can see why. Dear Basketball, that's what.
Dear Basketball,
Dear
that was the
Basketball,
name.
That was
right.
the name of it. Mm-hmm.
And he did the voiceover for it as well. It's interesting when you talk about how he was able to turn his life around, though, because he did have some controversy in his life involving his personal relationships. And when you think about who Kobe is now, in fact, we could even speak to someone who knows very well. Frank Buckley joins us live on the phone. Frank, I thought about you because I remember when you got the chance to sit down with Kobe for your Frank Buckley Interviews podcast and also the show that airs here. I was very jealous of you because, my goodness, who doesn't want the chance to sit down to speak with arguably the greatest basketball player of all time?
Well, it was one of those moments, Mark, sitting down across from Kobe. And, you got to keep your focus. But, as a huge, lifelong Lakers fan, to sit with someone like Kobe Bryant was, I was a little starstruck. But we focused and talked about what he was up to, and the occasion was the opening of the Amba Academy, and what he talked about through that interview was the fact that he wanted to spend this part of his life, his post-basketball, professional basketball life, teaching young people, whether it was on the basketball court or through his Wizenard book series or through his film, Dear Basketball, which you guys were just talking about, that won an Academy Award. I mean, it was the first thing he did literally the day after he played in his final game. He talked to me about the next morning. He got up, had a conference call with the folks who were putting that film together, and they started moving forward immediately. And, that's the kind of guy he was. I'm not going to say that I was his friend or knew him personally. I sat with him for that one interview. But I can say that as every Lakers fan in this town, I feel like I've been punched in the gut this morning.
Frank, we're going to pause because we have a clip from your podcast. Let's listen.
The Lakers right now got one of the best players in the world, maybe the best player who's still active, in LeBron James, a younger squad playing with him. They haven't been able to get it done this year. Yeah. Are you disappointed in where they are right now, or is it just a moment in time and they'll be okay?
I think we got to kind of step back and have some perspective, because they were playing really, really well. They found themselves really in the thick of the playoff race. And then you had injuries. Yeah. You had Rondo going in and out. You had LeBron have a major injury. You had Kuz going in and out. You got Lonzo going in and out. Come on now. In a tough Western Conference, how are you supposed to sustain that?
As you said, LA wants a champion. Everyone's pointing fingers. A lot of fingers are going at Luke Walton. What do you think?
What's he supposed to do? I mean, you got half the team injured. That's the part that drives me crazy.
So that was a little bit more coverage live coming from KTLA, as we're hearing it there, talking about the passing of Kobe Bryant out in California this morning. 10 a.m. local time is when the crash happened, approximately 10 a.m. in Calabasas, California. And what a shame. Just a tragic set of circumstances. Can't say too much more about the whole situation, except for how tragic it is. You just never know when you step out from your house, and just a tragedy beyond words. So I think I'm going to wrap this podcast, a special live stream, up for Phillies Talk for now. Again, let's go back to KTLA for just a few more minutes here before I wrap it up.
To turn into a Broadway musical. And then at the Mamba Academy, he was saying, inspiring the next generation of athletes. He said at the end of it, we can teach them how to be better citizens of the world, man. Then we've done our job. And that's the sort of the pivot that he had taken in his life. Basketball was behind him. He was not, ever going to, despite all of us wanting last year, especially for him to get back on the court, that was not going to happen. But he was going to inspire the next generation of athletes. He was going to tell stories and try to inspire young people. And sadly, that's what I kept going back to myself today was, damn, I'm not going to sit down with him 5 years from now. What are we going to miss from Kobe Bryant over the next 5 years?
Yeah, what are we going to miss? And there's so much that we have. We're just peeling back so many things. You just talked about him being an author in his book. And if we can take the iPad to show this is one of his books, Legacy and the Queen. And let me just read to you what they're saying about the author. Kobe Bryant is an Academy Award-winning storyteller and content creator. He spends his days building stories to inspire the next generation of athletes to be the best versions of themselves. He wanted to share all he learned with young athletes around the world. And then if you look at what he said, this is the front of it, created by Kobe Bryant, Legacy and the Queen. And he says to Nani, who's Natalia, his oldest, Gigi, Bibi, and Coco, my 4 beautiful, spirited, strong daughters, when you fiercely protect your passion, no one can ever steal your dreams. Kobe Bryant.
It takes you back.
There's so many things that he had done.
And that's KTLA's continuing coverage here of the helicopter crash that took the life of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and several others on a California Sunday morning. Apparently, they were departing to go to a basketball game in California somewhere. Tragic set of circumstances there. Rest in peace to all. And thanks for listening to this special edition, the live edition of Phillies Talk. And talk to you soon.